You've read correctly. Welcome to the Bombshell edition of Are You Still a Genius? How well do you know these classic bombshells? Betty Grable, Marlene Dietrich, Marilyn Monroe, Jane Mansfield, Sophia Loren, and Elizabeth Taylor. Each contestant has randomly chosen his own bombshell to get quizzed on. Who got who?
Hello, Peter and Jane are ready for the show.
Hi, genius people. This is Ben. It's Thursday again. Here we go again.
Hello, this is Anwar, and I think I will answer some questions about Sophia Loren.
Hey, geniuses, it's Andrew. I had a picture of Betty Grable on my wall as a boy, so I think I know lots about her.
Here are the rapid fire questions. Please refer to your individual bombshell question sheets. Follow along while also listening, players. Let the bombshell game begin. Here are the first set of questions. We wish you good luck. It's time for Jane Mansfield, the blonde temptress trivia. What was Jane Mansfield's real name? Was it Jane Palmer, Vera Palmer, Vera Mansfield, or Vera Jane Palmer? What musical instrument did Jane Mansfield play at a young age to get attention? Was it the violin, the piano, drums, or guitar? What was Jane Mansfield's first job in Hollywood? Was it modeling, working in a movie theater, acting, or waitressing? Jane Mansfield's second husband, Mr. Universe 1956. Who was he? Jim Byron, Paul Mansfield, Mickey Hargitay, or Joe Schofield? Jane Mansfield had a colorful name for her mansion. What was it called? The Pink Palace, Pretty in Pink, Pink Gingerbread, or Door Pink Knock? Jane Mansfield turned down a chance to be a pageant queen in one particular contest. Which one was it? Miss Photo Flash, Miss Rockford Cheese, Bunny of the Year, or Miss Fire Prevention? Jane Mansfield turned down a role in television because she thought it was beneath her. What was the name of the show? Gidget, Make Room for Daddy, Gilligan's Island, or The Brady Bunch? Jane Mansfield had an untimely death. What was the cause? Car accident, drug overdose, natural causes, or suicide? What movie studio first signed Jane Mansfield? Was it Fox, MGM, Warner Brothers, or Desilu Productions? And number 10, Jane Mansfield was born and buried in what state? New Jersey, Pennsylvania, California, or Texas? And here are your answers. Jane Mansfield's real name? Well, the answer was D, Vera Jane Palmer. The musical instrument that Jane Mansfield played at a young age was the violin. She played the passerby on the street with her stuffed animals. Jane Mansfield's first job in Hollywood was B, working in a movie theater. She worked at the theater as a candy vendor for a while, but soon was discovered as a model. Jane Mansfield's second husband was Mr. Universe 1956. He was Mickey Hargitay. Jane Mansfield's colorful name for her mansion was called the Pink Palace. Jane Mansfield turned down a chance to be a pageant queen. In what particular contest? It was the Miss Rockford Cheese. She stated, "It just doesn't sound right." I don't think I pronounced it right either. Jane Mansfield turned down a role in television. It was beneath her. That role was on Gilligan's Island. She was offered the role of Ginger. She appeared on TV, but as a guest star, never a recurring role. Jane Mansfield had an untimely death. What was the cause? It was A, car accident. Number 9. The movie studio that first signed Jane Mansfield, well, it was C, Warner Brothers. Her first film was in a bit part Female Jungle in 1954. Number 10, Jane Mansfield was born and buried in what state? Well, that was Pennsylvania. How did this contestant do? We'll find out at the end of the game. Stay tuned. It's time for Marilyn Monroe. What was Marilyn Monroe's birth name? Was it Norma Jean Mortensen, Norma Jean Baker, Norma Jean Dougherty, or Norma Jean Smith? Who was Norma Jean's first husband? Was it Cary Grant, Joe DiMaggio, James Dougherty, or Arthur Miller? In 1953, Marilyn Monroe appeared on the cover of what American men's magazine? Was it Gent, Oui, Cavalier, or Playboy? Number 4. What was Marilyn Monroe's intelligence quota? 100 is considered average and 150 is considered gifted. Was it 85, 93, 109, or 168? Who was Marilyn's second husband? Was it Joe DiMaggio, James Dougherty, Arthur Miller, or Rock Hudson? Her lifelong bouts with depression and self-destruction took their toll during the filming of what movie? Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, The 7-Year Itch, How to Marry a Millionaire, or Niagara? What was the name of Marilyn Monroe's autobiography? Was it My Story, Blonde and Beautiful, All About Me, or Knowing the Real Me? Number 8. Who was Marilyn's third husband? James Dougherty, Arthur Miller, Joe DiMaggio, or Marlon Brando? Number 9. According to the coroner, what was Marilyn Monroe's official cause of death? Was it suicide, probable suicide, homicide, or natural causes? Number 10. Who wrote and performed the tribute song to Marilyn Monroe, Candle in the Wind, in 1974? Was it Nick Hopkins, Paul McCartney, John Lennon, or Elton John? And here are the answers to the Marilyn Monroe trivia questions. Marilyn Monroe's birth name? That was A, Norma Jean Mortensen. Norma Jean Baker was her name given at her baptismal. She was born in 1926 and died in 1962. Norma Jean's first husband? That was C, James Dougherty. In 1953, Marilyn Monroe appeared on the cover of what American men's magazine? Well, that was Playboy. She appeared on the cover of the first edition of the magazine as Playboy's Sweetheart of the Month. Marilyn Monroe's intelligence quota? Well, it was pretty gifted. She was D, 168. And Marilyn Monroe's second husband? That was A, slugger Joe DiMaggio. They were married in 1954, but were married less than a year. I call that a strikeout. Lifelong bouts with depression and self-destruction took their toll during the filming of A, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, in 1953. She frequently muffed scenes and forgot her lines, leading to sometimes as many as 40 takes a scene before a satisfactory result was produced. The name of Marilyn Monroe's autobiography? That was A, My Story. Marilyn Monroe's third husband was B, Arthur Miller. They were married from 1956 to 1961. According to the coroner, Marilyn Monroe's official cause of death was B, probable suicide. And number 10. Who wrote and performed the tribute song to Marilyn Monroe, Candle in the Wind, in 1974? Well, that was D. Elton John. Contestant 2, find out at the end of the game. Stay tuned. Okay, Andrew, here are your Betty Grable questions. What did Hugh Hefner say about Betty Grable on public radio in 2007? She was the greatest actress of the 50s? She was a cheap knockoff of Marilyn Monroe? She was his inspiration for founding Playboy? I thought I was. Or D, she was overrated. What is notable about Betty Grable's early career? She was underage for legally acting when she started out? Or she had a cast in her leg from an injury that she had to have hidden when shooting. She started out as a radio talk show host? Or D, she had to sneak out of the house to perform? What was Betty Grable's best known for? A, starring opposite Clark Gable? B, her singing? C, winning numerous Academy Awards? Or D, a famous pinup photo of the World War II era? Who starred with Betty Grable in How to Marry a Millionaire? Was it Bette Davis and Ginger Rogers, Marilyn Monroe and Lauren Bacall, Betty Boop and Rita Hayworth, or Jane Russell and Greta Garbo? Who was Betty Grable's favorite co-star? Was it Dan Daly, Don Amachi, Victor Mature, or Cesar Romero? Where was Betty Grable born? California, Wisconsin, New York, or Missouri? Which of the following was Betty Grable's highest grossing film? Call Me Mister, How to Marry a Millionaire, Mother Wore Tights, or A Yank in the RAF? What studio was Betty Grable with during her heyday? Warner Brothers, Paramount, 20th Century Fox, or MGM? How did Betty Grable die? Cancer? An automobile accident? Pneumonia? Or a heart attack? And number 10, what was Betty Grable's last film for the big screen? How to Be Very, Very Popular, How to Marry a Millionaire, Call Me Mister, or Wabash Avenue? And here are your answers. Hugh Hefner said about Betty Grable on public radio in 2007 that she was his inspiration for founding Playboy. I thought I was. What is notable about Betty Grable's early career? Well, she was underage for legally acting when she started out. What was Betty Grable best known for? She was best known for D, a famous pinup photo of the World War II era. This is the correct answer. Number 4, who starred with Betty in How to Marry a Millionaire? That was B, Marilyn Monroe and Lauren Bacall. And who was Betty Grable's favorite co-star? That was A, Don Daly. Betty Grable was born in Missouri. And question number 7. Which of the following was Betty Grable's highest grossing film? Well, that was C, Mother Wore Tights. And number 8, what studio was Betty Grable with during her heyday? Well, that was C, 20th Century Fox. And number 9, how did Betty Grable die? That was A, she died of cancer. And number 10, Betty Grable's last film for the big screen was How to Be Very, Very Popular. did this contestant do? Stay tuned. At the end of the game, you will find out. What did this contestant do? You'll find out at the end of the game. Almost there. Here are your Sophia Loren, glamorous Italian actress, questions. Sophia Loren has been compared to what American bombshell actress? Jane Russell, Rita Hayworth, Ava Gardner, or Marilyn Monroe? Sophia Loren's Best Actress Academy Award was the first Oscar ever given for a performance in a foreign language film. What was the name of the film? Two Women, Neapolitan Carousel, Attila, or Scandal in Sorrento? What was the name of Sophia Loren's famous Italian film producer husband? Marcello Mascheroni, Carlo Ponti, Dino De Laurentiis, or Vintono Di Silla? What was Sophia Loren's birth name? Sofia Salerno, Sofia Lorenzo, Sofia Scaloni, or Sofia Torino? In 1982, Sophia Loren served 19 days in prison. What for? Illegal protest, public nudity, tax evasion, or shoplifting? What actor played Sophia Loren's love interest in The Pride and the Passion? Frank Sinatra, Cary Grant, John Wayne, or Henry Fonda? What role did Sophia Loren play in The Black Orchid? Julia Gallo, Alma Gallo, Rose Bianco, or Mary Valentine? Which of the following movie stars was not one of Sophia Loren's co-stars in Grumpier Old Men? Anne Margaret, Jack Lemmon, Walter Matthau, or Carl Maiden? In what movie did Sophia Loren have to walk a trench in order to give the audience the impression that her co-star Alan Ladd was taller than her? The Black Orchid, Boy and a Dolphin, The Sign of Venus, or The River Girl? What Bob Dylan song mentions Sophia Loren? I Shall Be Free, Every Grain of Sand, Hurricane, or Like a Rolling Stone? And here are the answers. Sophia Loren has often been compared to D. Marilyn Monroe. She's sometimes referred to the Italian Marilyn Monroe. Sophia Loren's Best Actress Academy Award was the first Oscar ever given for a performance in a foreign language film. Well, that was A. Two Women. The Oscar she won for Two Women was stolen from her. What was the name of Sophia Loren's famous Italian film producer husband? That was B. Carlo Ponti. He and Loren were married from 1957 to 1962. What was Sophia Loren's birth name? It was C. Sophie Siloni. She was born Sophie Villa Siloni on September 28, 1934. Sophia Loren served 19 days in prison for tax evasion. Sophia Loren's love interest in The Pride and the Passion was B. Cary Grant. Grant starred as Royal Navy Captain Antonin Turnbull. What role did Sophia Loren play in the 1958 film The Black Orchid? That was C. Rose Bianco. The following movie star that was not Sophia Loren's co-star in Grumpy Old Men was D. Carl Maiden. Walter Matthau, Max Goldman, Jack Lemmon as John Gulfiston, Anne Margaret and Ariel Goldstein, and Sophia Loren as Mary Sophia Ragetti. Sophia Loren had to walk a trench to make sure that her co-star was taller than her in B. Boy and a Dolphin, in which Loren played the character Federa. Which Bob Dylan song mentions Sophia Loren? I Shall Be Free. A. I Shall Be Free. How did our contestants do? Let's see who won this week's grand prize. It's sure to make them very happy. Who wins a personal poster of their bombshell? Here are the bombshells. Judy Dietrich, Elizabeth Taylor, Betty Grable, Sophie Loren, or Marilyn Monroe. The Marilyn Monroe poster was too personal. Peter's knowledge about Jayne Mansfield won him the competition this week. Way to go, Peter! A big thank you to all the members of the Blue Sheet Clubhouse. Without you guys, this show would not be possible at all. And lots of hard work is being done on our new garden. Fresh vegetables await you coming very soon. This has been an MCM production. Bye for now.